Hey guys, my name's Mallory, and the meeting that I attended for my professional meeting, it was termed Nurses Transforming Nurses. It was overseen by the North Carolina Nurses Association. And basically, the idea of the meeting was to bring all nursing professionals together from all different areas and all different levels to discuss our individual leadership skills and how we could all work together to aid in a cultural shift of nursing. And the meeting basically brought together, like I said, nurses from all different levels. There was registered nurses from ORs, ERs, ICUs, etc. And then there were family nurse practitioners, there were psych nurse practitioners, there were nurse managers, different types of nurse leaders. And we all were brought together, and the idea was to discuss how nurses can transform other nurses and how we can all aid in a cultural shift. So one of the main ideas that the speaker at this meeting talked about was the idea of appreciative inquiry. And basically the idea of appreciative inquiry was saying that we all have the potential to be great leaders, but too frequently we focus on problem identification and what's going wrong rather than what is working correctly and what's going well. And that's where we go wrong when we try to act as good leaders, and that's how we go wrong when we try to work on the cultural shift of nursing, is focusing on problem identification. So she encouraged us to focus on what we have, what's good about each one of us, what we do well and not what we do not so well. So she had us split up into different groups with other nurse leaders that we had never met to discuss leadership qualities and what we felt that we possess as individuals. So as we were splitting up, I believe that we would have been in the forming stage of Tuckerman's model, because we were meeting these other nursing professionals for the first time. We weren't with people that we dealt with on a daily basis, and we were all on our best behavior. We were being respectful of each other. And as we got together to talk about these good leadership qualities, the speaker pointed out that she wanted us to remember that a good leader was not someone who had all the leadership qualities, that a good leader didn't necessarily have to have every single quality, that they just needed to have a lot of the good qualities. And this kind of reminded me of the article that we have been reading for class that was the praise of an incomplete leader, where we were talking about that, you know, some people are going to be good at these things and some people are going to be good at other things, and that you must recognize that you are going to have some weaknesses, and that rather than not recognizing these weaknesses and just trying to compensate for them, instead recognizing that other people can help. When other people are strong in this area, then they can aid in your leadership skills. So anyway, as we were together in a group, we discussed leadership skills, and we discussed what we felt a good leadership, what qualities a good leader had. And I feel like now that I'm looking back that my group would have been defining what in class we were discussing as a transformational leader. We all just agreed that to be a good leader, you must know what's going correct and not focus on the bad stuff. That you must be able to work well with other people in your environment. You must be able to incorporate motivation and honesty and trust and passion, and you must be able to work with others in the environment towards a common goal. And those were all qualities that, as we were doing our readings in class, described a transformational leader. So that's what I think my group defined a good leader as. And in our group, we kind of discussed how we could take each one of our good qualities within our group and we could bring it together to improve nursing. So after in our different groups, we spoke of this, we got back together, and then the speaker spoke a little bit more about other types of leadership qualities, and she began discussing caring as a leadership quality. And she was saying that what a lot of people don't realize is there's really three aspects of caring that make somebody a good leader. They have to be able to, obviously as a nurse, be able to care well for their patients and the people they're looking out for, but they also have to be able to care for themselves as an individual and also for other nurses. And so she had us split back up into different groups. This time we were meeting other professionals in the meeting, and we had this time to discuss what we thought we lacked as a caring aspect. She said most of the time a leader does pretty good at least 2 of those aspects, but typically not all 3. Maybe they're good at caring for patients and each other, but not themselves, or for the patient and themselves, but not for each other. So we discussed this within our group. And like we would expect, most all of the nursing professionals thought they did a pretty good job of caring for the patients, that they felt like that was their job when they went to work. But many people said they didn't think they did such a great job of caring for other nurses. We started to think about what it feels like for a new nurse to come onto a floor, and are we always completely supportive of the new nurse? Do we always bring them in and help them with their weaknesses? And are we really supporting each other like we should as nurses? And this made me think a little bit about the internal barriers that were discussed in the Sullivan text, Becoming Influential, about how often nurses may be actually sabotaging their own or eating their own by not helping each other with their own weaknesses, and instead putting people down for what they don't do so well. And then it also it just made me think more about the internal barriers that we had already discussed. And then looking at it from a different standpoint, some of the nurses says they didn't think they did such a good job of caring for themselves, that maybe they did a great job of caring for patients, and that they were really supportive of their other nursing staff, but they didn't always look out for themselves and give themselves the credit where it was necessary. And again, this was another internal barrier that the Sullivan text talked about, that we don't always take credit for all the things we do as individuals. That we need to do a better job, like the Silence the Voice text discussed, as using our voice of agency, of making it known that that we're great nurses, and that we need to take credit for what we do as individuals, and we need to take care for ourselves and not stand in the shadows of others. So basically we talked about those 3 aspects of a caring leader. And then finally we got back to discuss in a full group again with the speaker. She talked about the Nurses Transforming Nurses vision, and their vision is actually partnering with consumers to increase the likelihood to optimize change within the healthcare system. And she was basically saying that she felt that this should be done in 2 ways. That we must partner with each other and focus on each other's good qualities that we possess, and therefore we'll be able to have the optimum potential for making good change, that we don't want to stand in the way of each other as individuals, that we don't want to focus on our bad qualities, we want to look at our good qualities. And then she also said that we needed to try to partner with consumers in our environment and those around us, and spread the word about what we do good, and how we can be great nurses. And this kind of made me think a little bit more about how we've talked so much about the media, and how the media doesn't always give us credit for what we do as nurses, and about how we need to take credit. We need to use our voice of agency. We need to get out and let people know what we do as nurses, and that we're not just somebody that stands behind the doctor, that we're somebody that that's actually needed in a healthcare system. So finally, this made me think a little bit more about what Don Barrett was talking about in his video that we watched as well, some of us watched, that was talking about that the systems that we work in as nurses are designed to work how they're designed to work. We're going to get the outcomes that the system has designed to have. And so if we expect to see all these changes and these cultural shifts in nursing, that we need to work together for change. We need to put together our good individual leadership qualities, and we need to come together and bounce off each other, take advantage of each other's strengths and weaknesses, so that we can be the change that we wish to see in nursing. Thank you.